stake in it. Why? Yeah, but the only time it's a conflict of interest, I believe, and we can ask legal about it, but I think the only time it's conflict of interest is if you are receiving compensation. And you have to receive, I believe, 10% of your annual compensation has to be from that one project. I mean, I step down from everything I'm involved in, whether it's, whatever I'm making in it, but I've never had one where I was 10% of my income that year was that one project, but, I mean, it's just.
It would only be if I drank enough booze over there. It's called, what is it called?
Something bourbon. Urban bourbon.
Urban bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I need to recuse myself from that when it comes up?
I'll have to look at what constitutes.
I don't think I have to.
Has to be compensation, I think, before it.
Like more than 10%.
Yeah. She's a neighbor.
I was gonna say, we all drink bourbon, so we'd all just have to quit.
I'd like to go on record as saying I don't.
Well, that's true. He's.
I'm allergic to alcohol, so therefore I can't drink anything.
Yeah.
How do you define contributor?
All right, are we ready? Everybody ready?
I have turned my mic.
And if you guys, we're distanced pretty well, so if y'all want to take your masks off, you're free to do so. You don't have to wear those things. I'll tell you one thing I did figure out though. Walking down here, it'll help keep your face warm during the winter.
That's
so
true. I didn't think
do
about
have
that.
a positive. So.
I
Anything
did
helps
not
today.
walk down here today.
Okay, well, here we are. Let's go ahead. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 10:01, October the 27th. Want to welcome everybody this morning to the October 27th meeting of the City of Denison Planning and Zoning Commission. Here we are. We've jumped from summer to winter here in the great state of Texas, where season is just another word in the dictionary. So, all right. First order of business will be called order, which we've already done. Next order of business is going to be roll call of the commissioners.
Chair Charlie Shear,
Here.
Vice Chair Brett Evans,
Here.
Spence Redwine,
Here.
and Mary Karam. Here. Thank you.
All right. Little housekeeping before we get started. The Planning Commission is a recommending body, so all of the decisions that we make here, with the exception of site plans and plats, which are final, will be transferred on to the City Council at their next meeting, which I'm assuming will be their first meeting of November. Can we turn that down just a little bit, Fancy, right there? It's feeding back just a tear out there. So those will be passed on to the City Council for their final approval. This morning, we're going to give you the opportunity to come forward. I ask that when you address the commission, you would please give us your name and address for the record. And we normally have a time limit, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about that today, so we won't go there. And that being said, we will move into our first order of business, which will be to approve the minutes from the October 13th, 2020 meeting. Any errors, omissions, anyone caught in the minutes?
Don't think so.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
And make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
A second?
Have a motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, we'll move to item 5, which will be the public hearings. Mr. Medina?
Good morning, it's good to see everyone again. This is item 5A. Receive a report, hold a discussion, make a recommendation on a request for approval of a rezone for 4901 Texoma Parkway, Denison, Texas, from commercial to light industrial. This is case number 2020-106Z.
Is it on now? Want me to reread that? I can. Okay. The applicant is requesting, this is loud too. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from commercial zoning district to light industrial. The 2018 comprehensive plan shows this area to be developed as commercial with some light industrial where appropriate. Staff does recommend approval. This is the subject property here outlined in yellow along Texoma Parkway near 691, just north of 691. This is the current zoning map. The dark purple is all zone commercial. All the property to the east and further north, if you were to zoom out a little bit, is actually already zoned light industrial. If we go back to our aerial map, you can see that there are already several light industrial type uses. Some of these businesses have already received a CUP for their light industrial type use. Across the street, you see automotive shop, transmission shop, used car sales, things that kind of fall already into that light industrial use. So we don't expect or anticipate any kind of negative impact on the surrounding properties or adjacent neighborhoods. The applicant, Mr. Chris Vickery, is here today. He has submitted a preliminary site plan. This is the first iteration. Our city staff has provided comments to the applicant on this site plan, as well as met with the applicant to go over any of those comments and answer any questions that he may have. Some of the comments that we had were, trying to connect and provide enough radius for the fire lane. We want to see our building setbacks. While we can tell that there's buildings 1 through 4, we want to understand their spacing and setbacks. As well as a little bit more information on the utility lines and utility connections. So we're still working through that project with the applicant, but we feel like we have enough information to recommend approval. This isn't like a speculative zoning. The applicant has a project in mind. And to further understand or explain that project, it's 4 buildings that have been that will be suited out for a professional service type use. Whether it's going to be like exterminator, it's going to be somebody doing like a carpet cleaning, maybe some automotive or a plumbing professional, things of that sort, to where the applicants can, or the tenants will have a nice workspace with all of those resources that they need and be able to house their equipment and perform their works in what looks to be a really presentable product here. Of course, we're going to look at the elevations. That was one of the requests, was an elevation plan, look at their screening, things of that sort. But we'll be reviewing and approving the site plans separately. As a reminder, this case is just the zoning. One of the things I just chatted with the applicant about, and that one of the challenges we're realizing with the site is because it's multi-tenant and there are several types of tenants, no one clear parking regulation or policy fits. However, the applicant believes that 1 space per 500 square feet should be sufficient. So we think that's completely reasonable to apply that kind of standard and provide some flexibility, simply because the site is pretty challenging. It's really a irregular shape. So we want to try and work with the applicant where we can, while still preserving and understanding our codes and applying them, but providing flexibility where needed. So I'm present for any questions that you may have. We do recommend approval.
What is currently in that lot just south of Building 4?
Just south of Building 4.
That's 151415.
It's a liquor store. Thank you.
Does that prohibit open storage?
Yes.
Open storage.
Yeah, open storage would be prohibited.
How far down is it to, the case we had on the agenda last meeting?
Jake's Place?
I think that's.
No, the other one where we.
Knight Road.
Yeah, Knight Road. How far south are we to Knight Road?
I-
Or north?
I
think
didn't
north.
measure it.
Looks like Watson's is next door.
Because Knight Road is back to the north, right?
Knight Road would be north.
Yeah.
Let me look real quick and I can get you a better estimate.
I think that 1505, I think that's a light industrial, and I think it fronts to Knight Road.
The RV park, or the RV storage place is there at southwest corner of Knight
Yeah,
Road.
see where you got, Longhorn Road. That's where Jake's Place is right there.
Okay.
We're looking at Jake's Place right there by the Longhorn Road property. I think Knight Road's just a little bit further to the north, but all of that area up there on the south side of Knight Road is all light industrial.
That's correct.
So basically uses that probably should be light industrial, and then we've got light industrial just to the north of where this property is, so I don't see it as being a big deal.
I mean, I don't have my measurement tool on my phone, but I would
That's
say
all right.
maybe
It's
about
okay.
half a mile.
Yeah, it's not-
So,
A lot less than that.
you think so,
That's
quarter
fine.
mile?
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I look at the rendering, the conceptual rendering that they've submitted to us, I mean, I'm like, seriously, that's a, yeah, I don't know how it's.
One of the other things that, when we were discussing with the applicant is our code actually requires 50% transparent front screening if it's within the front setback. This rendering shows kind of like a 4-foot wall, maybe a little bit shorter, kind of in that area, but it's completely masonry or blocked off. We think that's a better screening option for this type of use, especially being right on Texoma Parkway. So whenever we're reviewing the site plan and providing comments, those are the sort of variance or deviation that we think are completely appropriate in this sort of example. And if you'd like for us to bring the site plan back through to look at those, we can. But staff can approve that administratively as well.
I think, I mean, I doubt very seriously the site plan deviates a whole lot from what we've got in the packet this morning, so I don't know that it's necessary. I mean, I think that, I'm comfortable with staff being able to, to make, the only concern I have with screening is that, and this has mainly been happened in the Metroplex, and I just don't want to see it happen here, is that sometimes screening ordinances get so strict that the businesses suffer because you can't see, and of course signage is becoming smaller and smaller on everywhere. So it creates a problem for people being able to determine exactly where the business is located. And especially when we've got a situation where we've got multiple tenants in these businesses, you're driving up down Texoma Parkway and the speed limit's what, 50, 55, unless you're me. And it's 72 most of the time. But, you're going pretty quick up there, so being able to see it, I think it's important that we don't paint them into a box where they can't be, the businesses can't be visual. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I mean, I like what they've submitted. I think that looks great, but we just, let's don't get carried away to the point that we block it where you can't see what's inside the development.
Okay.
What was, Bill, what does it show as far as like the building material for the actual buildings? Is that?
I don't have, sorry. I don't.
Looks like to me, the front facades facing the street are masonry, and then the buildings themselves are metal.
Yeah, that's what we discussed preliminarily as well. Now, we haven't received the full facade plan outlining the exact material, but
That's not an overlay district either, is it? So we don't have any real authority there. Any other questions? All right, thanks, sir. Would the applicant like to speak? Sure. Okay.
My name is Chris Vickery. I live at 1003 Hills Creek Drive in McKinney, Texas. And I don't know that there's any more I need to say. Bill did an excellent job of giving you guys a presentation. I've been doing work in Denison for a long time, 15 years, mostly residential. A lot of historic renovations, 931 West Woodard. And this is a little bit outside of my purview, outside of my wheelhouse. But just noticed from friends and other business associates that there was really not any place in Denison that offered kind of a one-off entrepreneur place to park their chem-dry truck or their carpet cleaning truck, folks that do light boat repair, those sorts of things. So I kind of did a search of what was available, the project out at 1417 and Morton Street, just south of there. And saw this property and thought, there's an opportunity here. It's kind of in that corridor south of 503, 691, Texoma Parkway, the Highway 75, that kind of box where there's a lot of development going on, lots of high traffic, and I think for the future will be a lot of more traffic. I've also noticed that a lot of folks from Dallas are moving up here with more of an entrepreneurial spirit, and think that there needs to be something offered to those kinds of folks that they can lease instead of just an pre-existing building that they're trying to just shove a business into. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's a large project for me. It's about $2.5 million before it's all said and done. And I've been excited to work with the city to try to get this thing complete. So if I have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Are you gonna do them in phases, or is it gonna be?
As it stands now with the loan, this will be in 2 phases. So primarily be all of the infrastructure, water, sewer, roadways, fire hydrants, and 1 building. As it stood before COVID, there was going to be 2 buildings, but some of the previous tenants, prospective tenants, have kind of wavered in terms of watching to see what actually gets built. I think we'll probably be able to do this in 2 phases where it's 2 buildings at a time.
Any questions of the applicant? Mr. Vickery, thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, any other discussion among the commission? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion. I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the ordinance to change the zoning of the subject property from commercial to light industrial zoning district.
Second.
Have a motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. This one will go on to city council for final approval. Thank you, sir. Anything else this morning, Mr. Medina?
No, we don't have anything, just a quick update. I've been, like I mentioned last time, identifying properties over east of Austin, north of Maine that are zoned commercial. Talking with our legal team, she thinks that we're gonna need a separate ordinance for each property in each rezone. So just bear with me there. It'll take a little bit of time to pull all that together, but we are working on it.
So we're going to treat that as 2, 1 for 131? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm sorry. So there is a large pocket of Denison. I wouldn't say large. I would say about maybe about
Northeast. It's the
8 or 9
northeast section
blocks
over
Okay.
between the railroad and
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Austin, so in north of Maine, where we've had, a dozen or so rezones come in from commercial to SF5, and now it's all spot zoned, and it really should be single family. So we're identifying all those properties and trying to bring them into complying with the code, but also kind of what's there, what that use really turned out to be. So stay tuned on that.
All right, anything else? Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Have a motion with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. We stand adjourned at 10:18 a.m.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, the tire went off this morning. Well, yeah, I guess so. What happened was, we were sitting in there and all of a sudden the tire went off. So it didn't go off anywhere else, and so.
This
they called-
morning?
Yeah, they called Fred did that. They called Jonathan, yeah, they called Jonathan, and apparently, I guess they're turning on the permanent power at the new location over at Gateway.
Yeah.
And somehow, I guess they thought since they're moving, they shut the power off